We have here verse 28 of the 14th chapter of the Gospel of John. Jesus still unpackaging for his disciples the implication of the fact that he's going away. And of course, as the conversation proceeds, we keep seeing more and more intimation of the great advantage that will be devolving to the disciples by virtue of the fact that Christ is going away, even though the initial impression they had was one of great loss and that this would actually be a huge setback in their situation. We come here to probably the most profound statement so far in this, and it's been a somewhat controversial verse because of reasons we'll see in a moment, but Jesus extending now the conversation. So we have akousata. This is from akuo, I hear. Second person plural, aorist active indicative. So you hear or you heard, this is aorist. You heard hoti. This is conjunction means either that or because, depending on context. You heard that. Ego, added for emphasis, I, and then apon. This was from lego, I say. It's a second aorist verb. It's the first person singular, aorist active indicative. So you heard that I said, humen, indirect object of the verb. This is the second person dative plural pronoun. So you heard that I said to you, and then hupago. It means I go away, which is the way it's rendered here. So you heard that I said to you, I go away. Kai, the connective. Erkomai, and again, it's the first person singular. Present active indicative. So I go away and I come. And of course, the coming is connected to his previous conversations about the parakletos. So I come, pros, used when action or movement is implied, is here, takes the accusative. So here we have the second person, accusative plural pronoun. I go away and I come to you. So Jesus is saying, I'm going away for sure, and yet there's going to be, in a sense, an immediate return, but it's going to come by the vehicle of the parakletos, the Holy Spirit. Then he makes this interesting comment, which is used with the indicative as we have it here. Agapata, from agapao, I love. This is the aorist, so it's the second person plural, aorist, active, indicative. If you love, in the past tense, me, if you loved me, the direct object, the first person, accusative singular pronoun, if you loved me, and then akareta, this is from Cairo, means I rejoice. This again is the aorist, second person plural, aorist, active, indicative. If you loved me, you had rejoiced, would be the idea. But then we have the on, which is actually a contraction of aeon, and it is used usually to introduce some sense of the subjunctive. The subjunctive isn't used here, but it does introduce the idea, a kind of conditionality, and so we insert into the translation the word would. And you'll see that's the way it's normally rendered. So if you loved me, past tense, you would rejoice, is the notion. Then hoti, once again, now it means because. Because, peruomai, first person singular, present active indicative of peruomai, I go. You would rejoice because I go, and then pros, once again, taking the accusative, to ton patera, to the Father. Then this last phrase, of course, is the one that's precipitated a fair amount of conversation, where Jesus says hoti, once again, because hopater, the Father, madzon, which of course is the adjective of comparison, so we would render it greater than, so the Father greater than me. Madzon, by the way, takes the genitive, so that's why we have the genitive pronoun there, first person singular. The Father greater than me, isten, he is. And of course the question has been in what sense is the Father greater than Christ, and why exactly does that mean that they should be rejoicing in the fact that Christ is going to the Father? The two primary ways it's been rendered are one, that Jesus is referring to his humanity, in which indeed certainly God the Father in the terms of his deity would be greater than Christ in his human capacity alone. And that may very well be what's going on, although the general sense of it seems to suggest something a little bit more profound and certainly more difficult to describe. And I think the better view is that this is getting us what's sometimes called the economic distinctions within the Trinity, that though the three persons of the Trinity are conceived of as one in essence, equal in eternality, and so on, nevertheless, there is a kind of economic subordination in the Trinity in the sense that the Father has authority over the Son. The Father sends the Son, you see. The Father and the Son send the Spirit, that idea. And so if that's the case, then Jesus says the reason you should rejoice that I'm going to the Father is, in a sense, when I come back, I'm going to be coming back not only in my own capacity, as you've seen it already, but I'm going to be coming back, in a sense, bringing the entire Godhead with me, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and that certainly would represent something of an improved situation for these disciples who are anticipating the prospect of going out and making disciples of all the nations.